Brussels, February 18, 2013. A Swiss-bound plane sat quietly on the tarmac, its cargo worth more than gold, $50 million in uncut diamonds. The flight was minutes from departure. The crew prepared. The cargo handlers followed protocol. The world outside the chain-link fence of the airport remained oblivious. Then it happened. Two vehicles, black and sleek, outfitted with flashing police lights, smashed through a hole cut in the fence. From them emerged 8 men in dark uniforms, armed with rifles, moving with precision. In less than 5 minutes, the cargo was seized. No shots fired. No alarms raised. The diamonds simply vanished. It was called the heist of the century. And for good reason: audacity, speed, and flawless execution at one of Europe's busiest airports. But beneath the surface lay shadows, whispers of insider help, organized crime syndicates, and a trail of diamonds that have never resurfaced. This is the full story of the Brussels diamond heist. Brussels airport was no stranger to valuable cargo. Every week, shipments worth millions passed through its secured terminals: luxury goods, cash reserves, pharmaceuticals, and most importantly, diamonds. Belgium's capital sat just 45 minutes from Antwerp, the beating heart of the diamond trade. 80% of the world's rough diamonds flowed through Antwerp's district, a labyrinth of dealers, cutters, and smugglers. But Antwerp was also a magnet for crime. Its lifeblood, diamonds, moved through predictable routes. And predictability is a criminal's greatest ally. The Swiss flight scheduled for Geneva on February 18 carried more than ordinary stones. It carried 120 packages of uncut diamonds, wrapped discreetly in bags, insured but irreplaceable. They were meant for Geneva's diamond exchange, where the raw gems would be evaluated, cut, and prepared for global trade. The thieves knew everything: the timing, the flight number, the fence line to breach, even which vehicles to mimic. This wasn't opportunistic. It was precise intelligence. Someone inside the system had talked. The gang prepared meticulously. Vehicles were outfitted with flashing police lights. Dark uniforms resembling tactical police gear were acquired. The timing was rehearsed. The escape route chosen. What they planned wasn't just a theft, it was a performance. At 7:47 p.m., just as the Swiss plane was about to depart, a black Mercedes van and an Audi station wagon approached the perimeter fence. From a distance, they looked like police vehicles responding to a call. The blue lights flashed convincingly. But instead of using a gate, they smashed through a section of the security fence that had been surgically cut open earlier. It was quick, brutal, and effective. The hole was large enough for both vehicles to squeeze through. Passengers in the terminal lounge later reported seeing the convoy moving across the tarmac. Many assumed it was a police operation. After all, who would dare question armed men in uniforms, driving vehicles that looked official? 8 men stepped out. They were calm, methodical, almost military. They carried automatic rifles but never fired them. They spoke firmly but quietly. Every movement suggested authority. The breach had lasted less than 60 seconds. The plane's crew, the cargo handlers, even the armed guards froze. What they saw were men who looked like police, moving with confidence. And in high-security zones, confidence is a weapon. Once on the tarmac, the thieves moved straight to the Swiss aircraft. The cargo hold had just been loaded with the diamond packages. Inside were bags of stones valued at nearly $50 million. 2 of the robbers controlled the perimeter, weapons pointed but fingers off triggers. The others went directly to the hold. Handlers were ordered to step aside. There was no resistance. No one wanted to test the authority of men who looked and acted like tactical police. The thieves removed the diamond bags with precision, loading them into the waiting van. The handlers later said the operation was so fast it felt surreal. No shouting. No chaos. Just cold efficiency. Within 5 minutes, the diamonds were gone. The thieves withdrew, climbing back into their vehicles. The entire extraction had taken less time than a coffee break. The Swiss plane never took off. Its cargo had vanished into the night. The convoy sped back through the same hole in the fence. Airport police arrived minutes too late. By then, the vehicles were already on Brussels Ring Road, blending into traffic. Hours later, both vehicles were found abandoned and burned on a quiet road near the city. The fire destroyed most forensic evidence. Number plates had been switched, interiors wiped clean. The professionalism of the operation was undeniable. For investigators, the escape was as puzzling as the theft. How had the thieves known the exact timing? How had they entered and exited with such confidence? Why were cameras pointed elsewhere at the critical moments? The public called it brilliant. The police called it humiliating. Belgian authorities launched a massive investigation. Dozens of suspects were rounded up within months. Among them, known jewel smugglers, ex-cops, and gangsters linked to Balkan syndicates. One name stood out: Marc Bertaldi, a French career criminal. He was suspected of laundering the diamonds, but charges against him collapsed. Witnesses recanted. Evidence was thin. In total, over 30 people were arrested. Yet almost none were convicted. Trials dragged on for years, but the central question remained unanswered: where were the diamonds? Police suspected the Antwerp underworld had absorbed them. Some believed corrupt dealers laundered the gems, cutting them into smaller stones and slipping them into legitimate markets. Others whispered that the diamonds had gone east, to buyers in Russia or the Middle East. But no stones were ever recovered. The heist embarrassed Belgian authorities and rocked the diamond industry. If Europe's airports couldn't protect high-value shipments, what could? Insurance companies took heavy losses. Antwerp's reputation as a secure diamond hub suffered. New measures were rushed in: reinforced fences, more cameras, stricter vetting of staff. But it was too late. The thieves had exposed the vulnerability of a billion-dollar industry. They hadn't needed to fire a single bullet. They had weaponized appearance, speed, and planning. For the criminals, silence was everything. Unlike drug gangs or arms traffickers, jewel thieves knew the value of staying quiet. The fewer words spoken, the safer the prize. The Brussels heist was proof: sometimes the cleanest crimes leave the fewest traces. The Brussels diamond heist is remembered as the heist of the century not because of its size, though $50 million was staggering, but because of its precision. It mirrored the Schiphol heist of 2005 in many ways. Both used deception, uniforms, and insider knowledge. Both targeted uncut diamonds, nearly impossible to trace. Both humiliated Europe's most secure airports. But Brussels was faster, sharper, colder. 5 minutes on a runway, and $500 million was gone. The diamonds remain missing. The thieves remain ghosts. And the legend of Brussels lingers in the diamond trade, whispered in workshops and exchanges across the world. It's been more than a decade since the Brussels airport heist. The diamonds are gone. The suspects, mostly freed. The loot, likely scattered across continents, cut into smaller stones, sitting today in rings, necklaces, and vaults, untraceable, invisible. The brilliance of the crime was its simplicity. No violence. No alarms. Just confidence, speed, and precision. First Schiphol in 2005. Then Brussels in 2013. 2 airports. 2 robberies. 2 audacious crimes that rewrote the rules of organized theft. And both remind us, sometimes the greatest crimes are not those that make noise. They are the ones that leave only silence. This was the Brussels diamond heist, the heist of the century.